What's up, guys? We are back with another episode of Kyle and Dave, Contra Mundum, newly named show, but, kind of old duo at this point. And today we're going to be talking about Ohio and specifically the constitutional referendum that just passed, where with issue one, people in Ohio, Ohioans, which, it's a red state, it's a Republican state, but nevertheless, people voted by sizable margins to change the state's constitution to include protections for abortion access, saying that they would establish an individual right, quote, to one's own reproductive medical treatment. And this includes abortion, contraception, and miscarriage care. So in the light of the fall of Roe versus Wade, we have seen this issue kicked back to the states. It's no longer supposedly a constitutional right enshrined in the federal constitution that is untouchable at the state level. Now it's a states' rights issue. It's a state issue. They can essentially govern and control access to abortion or proscribe abortion at their good pleasure. And the problem is all of the states, in the wake of the abortion culture that we had thrust on this country through Roe versus Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey, all of the states who have put this up for a popular vote, whether they can add abortion protections into the state constitutions or make laws friendly to abortion, allowing abortion access, they have all, I believe it's 7 of them at this point, the people have all voted to allow murder. They've all voted to allow child murder. So this video, we're going to have a unique angle on this. Like the pro-life, the feckless, toothless, wimpy, effeminized pro-life movement, Big Life, Pro-Life Inc., where they have like the happy, jolly women talking about just how swell life is they're not using the tools necessary to actually attack the murderers in the culture of death. They're not using the tools in the toolbox that are necessary to actually fight substantially and fiercely against the architects of the culture of death. They don't understand what's going on. They're not using what their tools are, and we need to point a few things out about why they keep failing. Because people are scratching their heads. We're constantly told America's pro-life. We're constantly told, that women don't really want abortion, Kyle. And we're just not fighting the right way. And that's ultimately showing because we keep losing. Wherever this goes up to a ballot, wherever people can decide whether they and their state will abide child murder, they choose it. They want it. What is that?
Well, I think we had, in the wake of the overturning of Roe, you had a lot of people become complacent, I believe. That's number one. We thought that, just in the same way the left was mistakenly thinking that Dobbs v. Jackson was somehow, like, making abortion illegal. Like, you had leftists saying this, like, when it was leading up to it, then shortly after it went through, oh, this is just going to not allow anyone ever to have an abortion. It's going to totally make it legal, throughout all, the United States. Like, that's what some people were claiming, which is obviously not true if you know anything about what actually happened. It's, as you said, kicked it back to the states, which, in my opinion, that's a great thing. That's pretty Catholic. That's the principle of subsidiarity, at least with this issue right now. Yeah, I think you could make an argument for making a federal ban on it eventually. I don't think we're at that point. I think it's the best it could be in this situation to have the issue kicked back to the states. But those who are now responsible for this at the state level, I think have grown complacent. I just texted you earlier today about the March for Life, because we had the on the federal level, the March for Life in Washington D.C. going on for decades and decades since the early 1970s. I brought kids down there when I was a teacher several times to the March for Life, and it was a big deal. It grew to be a huge thing. Hundreds of thousands of people there, and now like stuff like that has to continue and push forward in a very muscular way at the state level. I texted you earlier today that that Michigan, the state that we live in, has now a March for Life in our capital, Lansing. And I had to stumble across that information. This wasn't put to me by really anyone out there. I had to like scroll through some things, and I'm like, November 8th is the March for Life in Michigan? I didn't even hear about this thing. So that's one of the reasons why I think that pro-lifers have just grown complacent, even in red states, even with Republican governors, who we should be doing a lot better in those places, and we're just not.
Yeah, you mean in the wake of kind of the victory at the Supreme Court level, at the judiciary, and now we're like, that's it. We just assume that if we live in a red state, especially, that our politicians and our people are going to kind of choose to do what's right, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing, I mean, a national ban. Obviously, the federal government doesn't have police power the way states do. It doesn't really have this power to regulate public morals in the way that states do. That's reserved to the states under our constitutional system. But what it could do, and under the 14th Amendment, a lot of people are like, you should use the 14th Amendment. And I've heard like Lila Rose argue that, the protection of life, liberty, and property is guaranteed. But that's from government intrusion. And abortion clinics aren't government actors. It's private actors. It's like moms and private doctors depriving their own kids of life. So that clause of the 14th Amendment, where, you can't be deprived of life, liberty, or property without equal protection, or without due process, rather, that doesn't work, because it's not the government doing it. And the Constitution only safeguards you against state actors. But what you can say is that perhaps, and it's a bit of a stretch in our jurisprudence, is that, you have equal protection of the laws. And since at conception, there's a human life formed, and there's a human being in the womb, that to say that you can, that murder laws do not apply equally to the unborn is somehow a violation of the equal protection of the laws. Now, it would be a stretch, again, in our system, because, if you look at the common law and things like Blackstone, then, they just didn't extend rights to the unborn. It was always at birth. But, I mean, there's no reason now, in the face of scientific knowledge and the evolution of the biological sciences, that you shouldn't be able to update case law a little bit, update, precedent and whatnot, and have the court kind of make a new ruling. But, I mean, the best way is, the states. So, obviously, I'm in favor of kind of doing whatever at this point to protect human life. I'm not going to be super principled about, like, vertical federalism when it comes to, a nation massacring its own children. Like, the government is defaulting on its basic duties if it's not protecting human life. That's what government is for. Uphold public morality and uphold, our inalienable rights, life, liberty, and property of the citizenry. That's the very foundation of government. And when it's not doing those things, it's defaulting on its own role. So you could almost say that under the principle of subsidiarity, sure, everything should be done at the lowest level that can be done at that level. But when a lower level government is defaulting on its duties, it actually becomes incumbent on the higher level government to step in and take over those duties. I mean, that's truly, recognizing subsidiarity. It's not just that, like, local government is best equipped to do something, and therefore, if they're not taking care of basic duties, then, to hell with people. We're just going to be, we're going to look the other way. It is that a higher level of government will step in. But okay, be that as it may, it's a bit of a tangent, a bit of a rabbit hole I went down. There's three lessons that we can see from the Ohio victory for, of course, the other side, for Death Inc., for the culture of death, for, the architects of this brave new world. And these are the three lessons. We'll go through them one by one, I think, here. America is not a pro-life nation. That's a fat lie told by the feminists, the so-called conservative feminists who are at the helm of Pro-Life Inc. To justify their own pathetic existence. Because Pro-Life Inc. is kind of a grift. It's something that, like, it seems like it exists out there, but it's done nothing for about 50 years. And we've gotten absolutely steamrolled, except that we got, a Republican president who put in some conservative Supreme Court justices who eventually undid the judicial travesty that was Roe versus Wade. So, I mean, Pro-Life Inc. really did very, very little, very unsuccessful. But they've told us that America is a pro-life nation. Number two, women are not the victims of abortions. They're the perpetrators. And we're going to see that in the exit polling here from this issue 1 in Ohio. Like, we're going to see what the demographics were that were voting for this. Was it all those evil men who were trying to foist abortion on the pure, the unsullied, the frightened maidens who were just, they were trying to uphold their children of Ohio's right to life, but they just got beaten back by the evil, barbaric men. So, yeah, that's a lie. That's not how it was. In fact, white men were the most against abortion of all the demographics. White men. And then soft rhetoric doesn't work. Number 3, get rid of the gay, soft messaging on abortion. Anything but it's murder and it should be illegal at all times. If you say anything but it is murder and it should be illegal at all times, you're really gay and wimpy and you're part of the problem. And you're going to keep getting us creamed until you and your ilk, people like you, wake up and you're like, oh, we don't need to paint this as like too extreme. We don't need to paint this as, oh, it's going to have other victims. It's going to deprive parents of their rights. It's going to, let juveniles do satanic rituals and then do a tap dance and then, become trannies and then get an abortion. No, that's not, it's not, I don't care. Whatever. The issue is you can't have abortion legal in any circumstance ever because it's murder. And when you have murder legalized, government is defaulting on its very role, and you don't live in a civil society. So those are the 3 issues. Right at the outset, Kyle, I don't know if you had any thoughts on those things I just threw up there. Just throwing them up there at you, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I would say on that, I think it's the second one. Was that the soft language? The second one there?
The last one.
That's the last one. Okay.
Number 3. Numero tres.
We'll go in reverse order here. So, yeah, on that soft rhetoric one, you can see that even in the way that the opponents of issue 1 in Ohio typed up their anti-abortion rhetoric. And they didn't stick to just that issue. Listen to the way they, this is from the Archdiocese of Cincinnati, who, God bless them, at least they did something. They, the bishop made a statement. They have their little website here, vote no on issue 1. So it's not like nobody's doing anything. Like, I have to hand it to them that for at least trying. But again, they succumb to this soft rhetoric. They write on its website, the Archdiocese of Cincinnati writes, and this is the same language taken from all like the, whatever it is, Right to Life Ohio and all these things. This is the same thing they're using. Okay, so what are we against here? A radical constitutional amendment on the November ballot that threatens pay attention to the order here, threatens the health and safety of women, number 1.
I was really worried about that. How are these women who are murdering their kids, how is their health going to be when they're murdering their babies?
How are they going to stay safe while they're doing that, Dave?
I really want them to be just really safe.
That's number 1. Number 2, the rights of parents. Okay, so that's the issue we're concerned about here is the rights of parents, which, as we'll see, is probably a non-issue in this case.
Who are these parents, by the way? Like, you hear, a kid's going to get murdered, right? And this might affect my rights to tell my kids what to do and to supervise them. And between those two, options, between those two events or possibilities, The one that really bothers me, you're curtailing my liberty a little bit. You're curtailing what's truly mine. Now, obviously, it is bad to take away parents' rights to, oversee their children and bring them up in the fear of the Lord and to oversee their bodily health and their spiritual welfare. But the real issue, how do you put anything above, a kid's going to get dismembered, sucked up through a vacuum, maybe burned alive in acid or saline solution? I'm going parents' rights on that one.
Yeah,
that's me.
That's what everyone's concerned about. And then finally, number 3 on their reasons why this is a radical constitutional amendment is that, wait for it, you guessed it, the lives of children across Ohio are at risk. Okay, that's the real issue, right? I mean, can't you just say that?
Yeah.
Can't you just say that and leave it at that? Like you said, I don't want to hear about it's taking away these safety precautions and the doctors don't have to tell you the risks of your abortion. Oh, I get it. I get incrementalism, but don't lead with that other stuff. Yeah, lead with the fact that you're trying to save lives here.
Right. That's what this is about. Abortion is not about women. Are women this self-centered that they think abortion is about them? Like, I don't care about what makes you the happiest or whatever. I just don't want you to murder your baby. I don't care if you use a nicely sanitized coat hanger or whatever it is. I just don't want you to kill your kid. You can't live in a civil society where people are allowed to kill their kids. It's not about you. I don't care about the rancid wombs of the mothers who are going to kill their own kids. Not my problem. It's like saying, you know what? If we make robbery illegal, a lot of robbers could get hurt when they're performing robberies because they could, when they're breaking into windows at night, they could stab themselves on the glass.
All those locking mechanisms on the doors and, alarms and stuff like that could surprise them, Dave.
Right. That could, those things, it could give them a coronary, get a heart attack hearing those Brinks alarms are loud, right? Yeah, any number of things. It's a very dangerous business. So we need to keep robbery. We need to make that legal because, it's just really bad for women when it's illegal. It's bad for robbers when it's illegal, I should say.
Safe, legal, and rare.
Safe, right? Legal, and rare. That's my robbery theory. That's kind of what I want to do. That's how absurd it is. I don't care if a robber is breaking into my house and falls through my my window and gashes his throat. That was his deal. That's his problem. I'm trying to sound cold-hearted. I wish he didn't choose a life of crime. But if he's breaking the law and coming into my house to harm me, and he gets injured or cuts his arm open, severs his wrist veins, okay, whatevs. The issue is don't rob people. It's not, make robbery nice and safe. So again, the focus on these women, it's absurd. They actually, do you want women to have more back alley abortions? No, I don't want women to have abortions at all. And if some dumb criminal is going to attempt to break the law and kill her kid, it's not my problem.
Yeah. And
we just want to make it illegal. If you're going to do that, don't tell me about it. It's not my issue. I hope you don't kill your kid. I hope everything goes wrong for you so that you can't kill your kid. I want to put every hurdle in your way so that you can't commit infanticide. And if you're so stupid and immoral that you insist on assassinating your own baby, it's not my problem if the coat hanger's dirty or whatever. Don't come. Well, she might get hurt. Whatever. She took that risk when she tried to murder a child. Whatevs.
Yeah, it's why are we so hyper-focused on things like making sure that you can get to a hospital if your abortion goes wrong? That's what they're concerned about. That won't be taking place anymore. Women won't be able to get to the hospital if the doctor botches their abortion. So, okay. What, they're having an abortion. Did you forget that part?
Yeah. Yeah. So trying to lead with like what could happen to the lawbreakers or to like that's not my issue. But they're focusing on every single thing. And I mean, you called it out. The order. The order shows the weakness. The order shows the priorities. The order shows that we are utterly soft on this issue. First, tell me about the baby. We can't have abortion in Ohio because that is murdering babies. It's ending babies' lives. You can't do that. It's evil. It's the murder of the innocent. It cries to heaven for vengeance. It's one of the peccata clementia. No state can be regarded as a place that's worth living in when the government smiles upon people assassinating their own babies. Period. End of story. So, like, let's put that first things first, second things second. Like, that's the main issue. 99% of attention should be on that. 99% of commercials should be directed to that in their entirety. If you want to take 1% and put it on the margins, I even think that's too much. But, like, sure, talk about parental rights. It's not good to not have parental rights. You should have parental rights. You should be able to supervise and control virtually every aspect of your minor child's lives. That's just what parents do. It's their first duty towards offspring. Educate them, raise them right. So, like, yeah, that's important. But what this is about, you have to talk about the telos of a thing. The telos of anti-abortion laws is not women's health. It's not parental rights. It's curtailing the evil practice of infanticide. And if you don't talk about that, you're part of the problem. And in the lead up to this, they weren't talking about that. They did everything they could to avoid talking about it. They talked about parents' rights. They talked about, being able to supervise your kids. They talked about women's health. They talked about everything under the sun, except for the fact that abortion is murder and you can't ever commit abortion. You can't ever abort your kid. If they had focused on that, that is the only path forward. And these people are so short-sighted. These politicians are so short-sighted. They'd be like, if they heard us right now, Kyle, you know what they think? They'd be like, oh, you naive SOBs. You're so naive. You don't know how to appeal to the American voter. Most Americans want some access to abortion. So we have to run on a winning issue. But when Americans didn't want access to abortion, when all 50 states had it illegal for most of the country's history, up until right before Roe versus Wade. And even at Roe versus Wade, you had the overwhelming majority of American jurisdictions had it illegal. And it was widely seen as murder and frowned upon at the popular level. Widely seen as murder and frowned upon at the popular level. So, yeah, they're like, they don't get this. So what changed, Kyle? Why did it become okay? All of a sudden, we get the Supreme Court tinkering around. And through Supreme Court meddling and legislating from the bench and abusing their powers, we got nationwide abortion. And then the people got desensitized to it. So what does that prove? It proves people's minds change. Sure, abortion used to be really unpopular. Now it's super popular. Everybody loves it. All your neighbors are murderers and murderer enablers. That's the America we live in. Look next door, look the other way, and you're bound to see a murderer or somebody who is for murderers. That's the nation we live in because we weren't always like this. We weren't always this festering cesspool of immoral, turds. We became that because it was foisted on us. Well, we're going to have to fight back. Everybody told us this isn't murder, and they won. They won the battle. The Supreme Court in Roe versus Wade said it's a complicated issue. And everybody started drinking the Kool-Aid. No, it's complicated. Supreme Court in Roe versus Wade went back and did revisionist history, revisionist moral history, revisionist Christian theology, even to a certain extent. And then people got hoodwinked by that. Well, it's not so bad. Maybe it's not murder. It's a complicated issue. That's why it's really for women and their doctors to figure out. They did that, and they evangelized. Well, fine. You know what you're not going to do to push back on that? Be like, well, abortion's fine as long as it's only in certain cases and when it's really early in the pregnancy. No, it's gay, it's weak, it's pathetic, it's lame, it's uninspiring. No one is going to be changed by that. The only thing that works is like, this is murder. It always needs to be illegal. If you're for it, you're a murderer or a murderer enabler. If you had an abortion, you were a murderer. Be penitent, go to confession, get right with God. There's forgiveness for you, but this is murder, and it's never okay. Not in rape, not in incest, not in, the sky is turquoise, not if it's a Tuesday, not if you like to eat cherry pies. It's just murder. You can't do it. That's the only message that's going to actually move the needle. Everything else is just people are going to see us as being weak and afraid to take a stand on an issue. And if we're weak on it, if we don't even believe it's bad or it's really bad, we only believe it's mildly bad, and the other side is saying it's affirmatively good, who's going to win? You got this guy over here who's vociferously advocating for this thing as an affirmative good and saying we need that thing. And then, we're just like, well, it's not, it's kind of bad. It's a little bad, but, in certain cases it can be okay. Who's going to win that debate? Who's going to win in that dialectic? Where's the needle going to settle? Why can't people figure this out? And they keep running. Now it's 7 states now. They keep doing the soft pedaling. Well, this law is extreme. I mean, we should hear, do we have those DeWine clips, Kyle? Do you have those queued up by any chance?
Yeah, we can get to them.
So here we've got Mike DeWine, and this is how he's going to lead off, his message to Ohio, his urgent message to Ohio, that we can't have statewide access to abortion, to murder for women. We can't have it. Here's how he's going to urgently tell people that. Let's run it.
And against Issue 1, the latest from Governor Mike DeWine and First Lady Fran DeWine.
Issue 1 is just not right for Ohio.
The governor...
That's it. It's just not right for Ohio. It's right for other states. Now, it's right for everybody else, maybe. Well, California, it could be good for you guys. It's not right for us. Shut up! It's not right for anyone. It's murder. That's the only take. Quit being weak. Quit being pathetic. Quit being not a man. Just say what it is. Everybody will respect it more in the end. And it's the only thing that will move the needle. We now have to acknowledge the seriousness of our situation. We need to come to grips with the seriousness of our situation. And I'm glad we went in this order, because that's going to bring us... I want to circle around after this to America is not a pro-life nation. But we are now in a place where we have to recognize that America is not a pro-life nation, and that we actually have to win the political fight by evangelizing, by changing minds. And the way you change minds is not by being like, well, we just, this is not the right thing for us right now. It's too extreme. These laws, I can see having access to abortion, but this law is just too extreme. Like, that's what they're trying to do. It's transparent.
And why do they do that? I suspect it's because they don't think they can win if they actually talk about the real issue. I think that they think that they're just going to push too many people away. It's going to be too partisan. It's going to be too, we're going to look like we're too extreme. So we're going to ease into this with these other side issues. We're just trying to protect women here. We're just trying to protect parents here. And I think that many of the people who work in Pro-Life Inc. are going to act like leftist politicians and try to confuse people into voting for their side. They're going to confuse the left. Some people on the left are like, oh yeah, I like protecting women. I like protecting parents' rights. And they don't really understand what this thing means. So it's the same thing that the left tried to do in proposing this amendment, where the language is kind of ambiguous and whatever. They're going to confuse people on the right. Big Pro-Life is going to try to do that in the same way by using these soft issues to confuse people on the left. It's sort of like the same reverse tactic, but it didn't work. It's not going to work.
Right. It hasn't worked. It will never work. It's uninspiring. It's flat. It's dull. It's wooden. It's manipulative, and everybody sees it for what it is. That's the thing. Like these guys on the right, just like the leftists, they see everybody as dumb automatons, and to a certain extent, A lot of people are. But, like, no one is fooled by this. Everyone knows this is about abortion. And the fundamental issue is abortion murder? If abortion's not murder, that's a whole other thing. But the question is it murder? And if it is murder, then it can't be allowed. And it is murder. You know, at conception, 46 chromosomes, motile cells, unique DNA. It's a human life. It's real obvious. It's not complicated at all. All the people who say it's complicated are either brain dead or lying, or a combination of both. It's not a complicated issue. So, yeah, that's to your point. Like, if you could get a Republican strategist in here, they're so disgusting. They're such unctuous people. Like, they come in buttoned up, and they all talk in that same, like, pretentious way. And they really think, like, you know, by the way, I was a political science major in college. I started a PhD program in political science. Like, I know politics. The way they talk is so gross, though. Like, you know, this is how we do it. And they've read enough polls where they think, like, one step ahead. They're playing beginner level chess is what they're doing. They're thinking like a move ahead. You know, they think it's still clever to be like, oh, I did Scholar's Mate on you. It's mate in 4 moves. I'll bet you've never seen that before. They're playing against rank amateurs, and they think that, like, it's clever. It's not clever. You get it? Everybody sees through you. So they're going to come and be like, well, obviously, this is what polling tells us. And polling says that people want some limited access to abortion. So therefore, we know it's a losing issue. So we just have to make it not about abortion. That's the stupid base level calculus that they're going through. That's the amateur chess that they're playing. But then you get into, like, even intermediate chess. I'm not talking about, like, titled players, no experts, masters, grandmasters. This is intermediate chess. Like, hey, there's more than one election, dingbats. Yeah, maybe you take an L on this. I think we're going to take 50 L's on this issue because we had a wicked culture of sex-addicted boomers spreading their legs and getting pregnant and then wanting no consequences and demanding access to abortion after the pill was foisted on us by the Supreme Court and after abortion was foisted on us by the Supreme Court. And in most of the dumb cattle's minds, what's legal is what's moral. So we've gotten to a place where now we think that abortion is moral. And because of that, we have to change people's minds. And the way you change people's minds is not by telling them an election is about something else, because they see for what it is. They know issue 1 in Ohio was about abortion and not parental rights. They know issue 1 had nothing to do with, you know, extreme or whatever the side issues are, women's health. It has to do with abortion. And most of Americans like abortion. That you got to wrap your minds around. And this is why Pro-Life Inc. is our enemy. This is why the girl power fem bosses, girl bosses at Pro-Life Inc. are part of the enemy. It's because they want to justify their existence, so they've been telling people how pro-life America is. We've been doing it for 30 years. Well, did you know that America is actually a pro-life nation? Shut up. Shut up. It's not. You're lying. It's a very pro-death nation. It's a very pro-abortion nation. We've raised a generation of beastly women who value unfettered fornication more than they value human life. Period. End of. Anything other than that, and somebody's lying to you. That's all it is. So in order to combat that, you're going to have to change minds. So you're going to have to put your money, Republicans, and they don't care. The Republican Party doesn't care. They're morally bankrupt. You know, they talk a talk about conservative social issues and cultural issues before an election to rile up the base, and then they consistently sell you out on those issues. It's been going on for, you know, a really long time. That's what they do. It's like clockwork. So they don't want to put money into this, man. They don't want to put money into ads saying, hey, listen up. Life begins at conception. All abortion is murder. All abortion is murder. And we might lose an election round here. Might lose a few election cycles. Well, we've been 50 years in the making, dude, for Roe v. Wade. We've had the culture of death for 50 years. We're not going to undo it in one election cycle. We're going to lose all 50 states when it comes to the popular vote if these referenda keep going. And people are going to choose abortion. We have to play the long game here, though, and outlaw put our money into actually winning the debate on whether abortion is murder. That's what you have to do. You must win the debate on whether abortion is murder. Anything other than that is a failure. So all the smug Republican stuffed suit, strategists who would like scoff at us, the joke's on you guys, because you're the beginning level chess players who think Scholar's Mate is neat and like a cool trick.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Kyle.
No, and also I just thought of this, and we haven't really talked about this much, but it kind of reminded me of a similar tactic, focusing on all these side issues. Reminds me of the people who went straight to sort of the biblical argument against abortion. It's sort of the same thing. Even at the outset when I first came back to the faith and I got more involved in the pro-life movement, I would see people jumping straight to, oh, well, it says here in this scripture, or it says this and this and this. Okay, you might appeal to certain, cafeteria Christians here and there with that type of stuff. But if you want to cast a wide net, you just have to go with the natural law perspective here. And that doesn't require you to use any biblical citations to prove that abortion is wrong, to prove it's murder. You don't need to, I'm not saying it's bad, but you don't need to just jump straight into biblical apologetics to do this.
Sure. No, that's, of course. Because then that plays right into the enemy's hands.
Mm-hmm.
Then they become like, oh, it's a religion issue. You're trying to legislate your religion? No, I'm pretty sure murder, it transcends religion. You can't murder people no matter what religion you are. It's not because I'm a Christian that I think murder is bad. Like, yeah, sure, Christianity recognizes that murder is quite evil in fact. But everybody does, because it's part of the natural law. It's part of the reason built into the fabric of this universe. And it's part, of the human condition and just base level reasoning. It's something written on our hearts that we would recognize that it's bad to murder and that we should avoid it. It has nothing to do with religion. So making this a religious issue, then you let, the weasels on the left be like, well, it's religion. You're trying to legislate your morality? Who's to say your morality is the right one? As if I'm trying to legislate that everybody needs to get communion on Sunday, everybody needs to fast on Friday, even non-Catholics. Like, that's what they try to make it. No. This transcends that. Every culture for all of human history has known that murder is bad because it's written on our hearts, and it's part of just human reasoning. You can get there with secular reasoning.
Yeah, just a natural law issue. And, all this talk about the stuff going on in Ohio reminds me of what happened just about a year ago here in Michigan with Proposal 3, I believe it was called. And the anti-Prop 3 rhetoric was exactly how it was in this case in Ohio. It was literally like how you said it. Oh, it's too extreme. I remember the lawn signs that said, no on Prop 3, too extreme, too confusing. Mm-hmm. So here's where you're trying to appeal to people. Oh, I don't want to vote for something that's extreme or confusing, so I'm going to vote no on Prop 3 for sure. No, how about you just tell people no to child murder? It's not, you're calling that extreme. It doesn't matter. Well, there's no other option where that's not extreme. No other version of child murder that is not extreme. It just default is extreme. And then you're talking about it's too confusing. The way the amendment was written, it's too confusing, so you can't vote for it. Like, that's what the issue we have is the confusing language issue of the thing? No, it's not. Just read it for what it is.
Yeah. Dude, if it were a less extreme pro-abortion, initiative,
I'd be all
we'd
for
be
that.
for it.
I'd be all for that.
Right?
It's that damn abortion extremism that really gets me.
Dude, if it were just that you can only murder babies before 6 weeks gestation, that seems good. Who could object to that? But if it's past 6.01 weeks, that's just really extreme, and it doesn't sit right with me personally. I wouldn't tell you what to do, but I wouldn't vote for it. That's all I'm going to say, Kyle.
I'm not a man who lives in extremes, Dave. You know, I like to be right down the middle, and this is just a little too one-sided for me.
That's really the pathetic and horrifying thing is that's how like the hoi polloi and the unwashed masses in America think.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally the level of reasoning. It's like being extreme is bad. I pretty much want to be a moderate. Like moderation is a good thing. Like I'm pretty sure being extremely right is good, and being like moderately right means being moderately wrong.
I just want to be. I want to be. It's like shooting for mediocrity, you know, in like every facet of your life. Yeah, you could be good at something. You could understand something. I just want to understand it to a certain point, you know, and then I want to go home and watch Netflix. That's what I want to do.
Okay, so, I mean, I guess final word on that. Yeah, you've got to take this on. How much more effective? Going back to the Michigan booster signs that you were talking about. I'm glad you raised that point, dude, because I remember that. When was that? 3 years ago?
No, that was last year's midterms. That was literally
I'm just retarded.
2022 November.
I'm just very dim.
Life happens, Dave. It goes by fast.
Oh, man. That is embarrassing. But, I mean, how much more effective would those signs have been if they said, don't murder your kids, Michigan? Murder is wrong, Michigan. Abortion is murder, Michigan. How much, like, we just wasted all that money, all that donor money, GOP money, just got wasted because no one remembers. Apparently you, Kyle, because you have like a photographic memory, but no one aside from you remembers that campaign. Like, you had to recall it to me, and I was like, oh, yeah, I do kind of remember that. But, like, no one else remembers what the booster sign said because they were pathetic and toothless. They did nothing. They were impotent. They were garbage. They didn't move the needle. For all those millions of dollars put into that campaign, did those stupid booster signs that were bought and paid for by donations move the needle one iota? No. Nope. But how many people could you have actually evangelized if you'd put your money in, knowing that it's probably a losing campaign? Because we live in an America where a lot of people have just absolutely dismantled their consciences, destroyed their consciences, killed them with not just like fornication and like, you know, vice like that, but murder, like drugs, fornication, and murder. That's the America we live in. But maybe you could have shaken like 10% of people if you just wrote abortion is murder. There's such thing as a dialectic, right? Let's go like a Hegelian dialectic. You got your thesis over here saying, you know, X. And then you got your thesis over here, or antithesis over here saying the opposite of X. And then naturally, those things settle into a middle position, which is the synthesis of thesis and antithesis. So if you've got people over here saying abortion is good, and you've got people over here saying this is too extreme to call it good, then you're going to settle with that synthesis, and abortion is kind of good, which is pretty much what America's at right now. Like, I think that accurately describes what Americans think of abortion. It's kind of good, you know?
Yeah.
It's not always good. It can be bad. It's kind of good. Like, that's what, like, John Q. Dimwit down the street thinks. So if we said abortion is good over here, and then you have people saying abortion is a heinous, evil, murder, barbarous act, you know, only committed by the most vile, base people, and it screams to heaven for vengeance. Yeah, that synthesis is going to be a lot. I mean, all we have to get is one smidgen, like, to the left of this line, to the no side of this line, and then it stays illegal. All you have to go is a little bit, have one smidge over the no side of the line, and, you know, you're good for the synthesis. Because then people are like, it's not good, we need to make it illegal. But that's not how people think. And we didn't use our money wisely. So now, you know, that puts the cause back another 4 or 5 years. However long it's going to take to muster a campaign. And they're not going to do it. They're not going to learn in 5 years.
No, because now these things are constitutional amendments. Like, they're not just like mere laws. I mean, you know, You're the legal guy here. It takes a lot more to overturn a constitutional amendment than it does some other thing, right?
At least at the federal level, yeah. At the state level, a lot of these states are, putting in constitutional amendments now just by majority vote. So that was actually how this got geared up for in Ohio, was they made it easier to amend the Constitution. So it's not like amending the federal Constitution, but it is, it's bigger in a lot of places than just a mere majority vote. Although in some jurisdictions, it is becoming just like a majority thing. A bare majority can alter the Constitution of a state. So, yeah. Okay. America is not a pro-life nation. Issue number, it was originally 1. We kind of jostled around. Fair enough. We're making it issue number 2 now. America isn't pro-life. Stop saying America's pro-life. Why are people saying that America's pro-life? We have, this is from a news article here. Okay, so we have it here. I'm going to read it. As you can see on the screen. Only 9% of Americans believe that abortion should be illegal in all circumstances. Only 9% of Americans believe that abortion should be illegal in all circumstances. But, well, it sounds like 91% of Americans believe in abortion. Like, dude, if you think you can beat your wife in some circumstances, you're pro-wife beating. Like, you think that you can beat your wife, right? It's not, like, you can't be like, I'm against wife beating mostly. I am mainly against it. Now, if there's a situation that calls for it, that's a different matter. Rape and incest, go on and beat her. But, like most of the time, I just don't think it's appropriate. Like, okay, so you mean 91% of Americans are pro-abortion. That's the statistic. That is the real, correct, accurate, rose-colored glasses, pro-life Inc., self-important hens trying to justify their own pathetic organization's existence statistic. That's what it is. So let's be sober about it. Like, let's understand this. It's not something where you can just whistle past the graveyard, because doing that it has real world consequences. And the other thing is, they know they're lying to you. They know. The girl bosses at Pro-Life Inc. know that they're lying to you. Because if they thought America was really a pro-life nation, Kyle, would we be running on, this law is too extreme? Or would we just be saying, abortion's bad, this law is going to, legalize abortion, so it should be, you should vote against it.
Yeah, they wouldn't be playing the game. They know.
Right.
They know that America is truly not a pro-life nation. They know that people don't understand these, these issues. So they're going to try to play these word games just like the left does.
Right.
And as to where the left is successful with it for various reasons, the right is not.
It's just like race politics. It's the Ring of Sauron. Only Sauron can wield them. Only the left can peddle lies and use them to its good politically. Same with, the race-based politics, identity politics. Only the left can use it. Whenever the Republicans try, it falls flat and is pathetic.
Yeah.
So let's look at a different instance. But so, that indicts Pro-Life Inc. They know they're lying to you. They know America's not really pro-life. So, that's the real statistic. 9% of Americans are pro-life and say that abortion should be illegal in all circumstances. Unless you say abortion should be illegal in all circumstances, you are a murderer enabler. You are murder adjacent. You are murder friendly. You're only one of the good guys if you say abortion is always murder and it should always be illegal. There is no case in Christian theology, in the natural law, where it is okay to do direct attacks on innocent life. You can't do it. Ends don't justify means. Simple as. Period. End of story. But here's an AP poll. Just to drive, I like to kind of twist the knife a little bit. on these people because they're so disingenuous and it's so disgusting. But they're the ones with the platforms, right? Like, people are going to platform Dave Gordon and Kyle Kobe on abortion. It's not going to happen. They don't want to do it. They don't want to hear what I have to say. Because I'm going to spit the truth. It's these wimpy, I make $1 million a year speaking about how I used to murder babies for a living, but then I found Jesus after like killing my 100,000th baby. Now I'm going to go on the speaker circuit and act like a martyr and get paid millions of dollars. Those are the types that are out there, and they're not going to tell you the truth. Here's the AP poll. AP NORC poll finds a majority of U.S. adults, including people living in states with the most restrictive abortion laws, favor allowing abortion until at least 6 weeks into a pregnancy. So, U.S. adults, 73% want abortion 6 weeks into a pregnancy. And this is just general abortion, whereas previously, 9%, because, some people would be like, well, I want it illegal in all cases except rape and incest because, murder is okay if you're raped. You can execute that kid. You can't even execute the father for rape. You can execute the kid, obviously. It just makes sense,
Just take it out on the kid that was conceived from a bad thing.
Yeah, that's my motto. Just take it out on the children.
That's
how we run things in my house. Had a bad day? Take it on the kids.
It's a similar reason why people divorce. They do it for selfish reasons and knowing that it's going to harm the kids, but they don't care. They're getting their way. They're getting to go with their new boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever it is, or because they're sick of their spouse. It's a selfish thing.
Don't like your spouse? Just get a shiny new one.
Yeah, who
Get
cares?
a shiny new one.
Who cares how it rips apart your family and psychologically damages their kids for the rest of their life?
Yeah. Again, I hold that near and dear to my heart. So 73% of U.S. adults, 88% of Democrats, 70% of independents, 56% of Republicans. Yikes. That seems like a slaughter. It doesn't even seem close. That's just, you can get an abortion until at least 6 weeks. General consensus in America, 73% for abortion up to 6 weeks. Dang! But I'm just told that that's not the case. So I'm really surprised to hear that. Yeah. But so that doesn't hold up anymore, right? Because the proof is in the pudding. If America were a pro-life nation, we wouldn't be seeing the campaigns against these abortion amendments, the abortion access laws. We wouldn't be seeing them cloaked in non-issues, in secondary issues, making secondary issues primary. Oh, parental rights, oh, women's health. We wouldn't see that. The Abby Johnsons of the world have been lying to you. Wake up. Wake up. There's no more denying it now. There was never any denying it. But at least, I had to do 8 minutes of Google research to find this. And that's 7 minutes too long for the average American's attention span. So I kind of get it. I empathize with you guys. You have to, that would take away from Netflix and chicken wings time for the average morbidly obese American. I wouldn't want to do that. So yeah, I can see why a lot of people didn't understand that until now. But now we see how they're running these elections and they're campaigning against the abortion access laws. And it's given a lie to everything that we've been told. So remember that. Don't be lied to anymore. America is not a pro-life nation. It's a wicked, gluttonous, obese, drug-addled, fornicating, divorced, disgusting, selfish nation. That's what America is. There's hardly any virtue to smile upon in contemporary America. And that pains me to say because I love my fatherland. I'm a proud American. But our people are neo-pagan slobs. And anyone who tells you this is a time for optimism is lying to you and is your enemy. This is not a time for optimism. It's time to be real. It's a time for realism. To understand what kind of country we're really living in so we know exactly what we have to do to prepare for battle. And what actually lies in front of us when we do go into battle. It's not going to be pretty. We're going to get our asses kicked for a long time until we're not. Until we finally muster whatever activation energy is necessary to move people and to stem the tide. There's going to be a long fight. Anything else on that, Kyle, or do we want to move on?
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's various ways in which we can prove that this country is not pro-life, even for the mere fact that we have to have these, like you were talking about, like the after 6 weeks or whatever. You know, a majority of Americans don't want it after this magical 6 week point. And at the end of the day, because that's really, you know, it's like usually when you can detect the heartbeat, that's where all these heartbeat laws and trigger laws come from, and all these things like that have happened since the overturning of Roe, which, you know, are good things. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, you're just picking another arbitrary point at when you think that most people think that life begins. Oh, you have a heartbeat now, then that thing's alive. Ignoring the fact that it's alive well before then, that it's alive at the moment of conception. There's all these other biological markers that prove that the thing is alive even before you get to the heartbeat. So yes, it's good that we have those type of laws, that we are incrementally rolling things back, but you're just choosing another arbitrary point. And then secondly, proving again that this country is not pro-life is the fact that all the exception things. What is it? It's always rape, incest, life of the mother. We talked about the rape and incest thing. It's like, well, do we kill the kid or not? I don't care how the kid was conceived. We're not saying rape is good. We're not saying acts of incest are good. No, those are objectively wrong things. They're bad things. I am sorry that they happen to people. I truly am. I'm not making light of that. But when they do happen and they result in a human being being conceived, then what do we do with that human being? Do we kill it? No. Just because it came to be in an immoral fashion doesn't mean we kill the thing. I mean, my dad taught me 2 wrongs don't make a right. That's not how we do things. And then the other one, life of the mother, people throw that out and they don't even understand that what that means. We don't have to get into it all here, but there's very, I don't want to say they're too rare, like ectopic pregnancies do happen. Cancerous uterus situations do happen where you have to, radiate a portion of the body, and, it's a foreseen thing that you might harm or kill the baby through these things. People don't understand the nuances of those situations. They just think there's these all kinds of magical situations where your baby is trying to kill you from the inside or something like that. And that's just not how it works. If you press those people on that, you say, okay, name me the 2 common life of the mother sort of exceptions. And then they're not even procured abortions in that sense. You're not just going in and directly killing the child. You're doing something else with a foreseen circumstance. It gets into moral theology. But again, people just throw that line out there. They're like, oh, yeah, I want to save the lives of mothers.
Sure. Willed is neither an end nor a means that the child dies, but it's foreseen and accidentally takes place, even though you might know what's going to happen. Right. Dude, I love how America's so gay now. Like, when we're talking about this, we have to, stipulate, and we are, for the record, against rape and incest. Because some moron out there, if you didn't say that, if you didn't add in that caveat, somebody would be like, I think they're for rape. I'm pretty sure Kyle looks like a raper to me. I think he's pro rape. Maybe incest.
I got this shadowy background back there. That's where I usually lurk, and that's why people think that.
And I have the the giant van or whatever with the creepy boarded up back windows. Yeah. Anyway, I love how we have to specify this and absolutely placate the lowest common denominator of American. I think they're rapers and incestors, but whatever.
Just pro rape and pro incest, apparently.
That's pretty much when I start my political party. That's obviously going to be those are going to be planks in the platform.
Top 2. The top tiers that I lead with are going to be. Oh, goodness.
Me and Anthony Weiner are starting a party.
Yes, please bring Mr. Weiner back.
The jokes just wrote themselves. Some things, It's like when Cartman sees the people with the butt heads and he can't laugh anymore because it's too funny. It's that sort of thing with like Anthony Weiner sending crotch pics. I'm sorry. It's late at night. We're tired. We've got to wake up early and do things like because we're men with jobs. We're a little giddy. I apologize to everybody.
They
All right.
appreciate it, though.
Yeah, I hope so. Either that or they just think we're some dumb bunnies. All right. Finally, and this one, I've got to say, is going to feel good to talk about because I'm so damn sick of hearing how women are victims of abortion. No, they're not. They're the perpetrators. They're the criminals. And that's the Catholic point of view, by the way. And we're going to get into that in a second. Women are not the victims of abortion. They want it. They like it, by and large. And I've got the exit polling here from this issue 1 in Ohio. Let's just go through it. So yes, on issue 1, male, 54%, female, 61%. Gee, it seems like men don't want abortion. Well, I mean, they still want it because we're like a depraved country, but a lot fewer men want abortion to be legal than women. It's 54% yay for males, 61% yays for women, 46% nays on issue 1 for men, and 39% for women. And let's go. That transcends the races. You know, that's just the general, you know, all things considered. But now breaking it down by race. Let's see. Oh, that's just the general. Hold on, let me find it. Sex by race. White men, 50% yay, 50% nay. 50% of white men do not want abortion to be legal in Ohio. 50%. That's the best number you're going to find. The best. White women, 57% voted for abortion to be legalized in Ohio. 57% of white women, 43% voted no. You know, they did not want abortion to be illegal or to be legal in Ohio. Black men, 87%. What the hell is wrong with y'all? 87% say abortion should be legal in Ohio. 13% say no.
Yeah, but what about all those black pastors and black churches that were supposed to be pro-life and whatnot? Those are the articles that I was reading. What happened to their message going to their community?
I got lost. I thought they mainly talked about racism. I could be wrong. I don't know. It's been, yeah. I thought it's like a George Floyd sermon pretty much per week. But 81% black women, 19%. So 81% say yay, 19% say no. So black men are actually more pro-choice in this regard than black women. But that's a small demographic in America. So black men, 87% yay. Black women, 81% yay. And nay, 19% for black women, 13% for black men. So black women tend to be more pro-life than black men. I guess you'd have to be because almost all black men think abortion is good. I wonder why that might be. Okay, so, I mean, those are the stats from Ohio. So it is, it's men. Men are more pro-life than women. Men are more pro-life than women. But I'm told that women are victims of abortion in the evil, like goatee twisting, menacing, lurking goons of men. That they're foisting abortion on women. But that's a lie too. That's another Pro-Life Inc. lie. Let's just go through the stats real fast. 6 in 10 women who have abortions are already mothers, and half of them have 2 or more children. 6 in 10 women who have abortions are already mothers. They're so depraved that they've had a child already, have seen the beauty of life, and they're still like, screw it. We'll get rid of this one. That doesn't sound like people acting in ignorance to me. Does
Or
that sound ignorant to you, Kyle?
ignorant or coercion. They big pro-life Inc. makes it seem like, oh, the vast majority of abortions are happening to like teenage unwed mothers in crisis pregnancy situations, and they're forced by their boyfriend into these abortion chambers, and or forced by their parents or whatever, and they're young and naive and ignorant, and they don't really understand what's going on, and that's what's going to happen. No, this is happening to women that have multiple children. Like that's unfathomable to me that you can actually have children and then think that for whatever reason that you don't want another child, and the way you do that is to kill that child once it's conceived.
Yeah. No, it's bizarre. But that definitely undercuts the narrative. They don't know what they're doing. Like, you experience the miracle of birth. That just gives me bloodlust. The next one, I'm just going to slay him, Like, that's where we're at in America. But I'm told that I have to believe that those are the victims. Well, they're probably in abusive relationships. Shut up. No.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, granted, that does happen, right? Sure. It happens sometimes. Young, naive women are coerced by boyfriend, by parents, by whoever, and they're duped. And, I mean, we know this just for the simple fact that, the number... And I don't even know what the number is, but there are women out there I know personally who have regretted their abortion, right? And they will tell you
5%.
5% though. And these are the people that they say, okay, it's only happening to these young naive women who are coerced. That's who we're supposed to mainly focus on. Yet it's only 5% of the people that this is affecting,
who regret their abortion after 5 years. There's a statistic, I think like University of San Francisco or UCSF did a study on that, actually. Yeah, the number, I mean, we're going to get to that in a second. Of course, there's some people that are actually leaned on by their partners. But I'm told anyway that women are so strong and smart and stuff. That's what I'm told, right? They're basically like heroes, all of them. And yet, apparently, they can be just like hoodwinked by their partners. Now, that does happen. And that's a terrible thing. And those men should be prosecuted, obviously. Goes without saying. And they used to be prosecuted, by the way. If you fathered a child that was aborted back in the day, you got prosecuted. And that's something most people don't know. And that's a good thing. That should happen. But let's keep going on these statistics, and we will get there, to what we were just talking about. Let's see here. One of the main reasons people report wanting to have an abortion is so they can be a better parent to the kids they already have. That is, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 2019 data. One of the main reasons people report wanting to have an abortion is so they can be a better parent to the kids they already have. Well, Bobby, we just killed your little brother. But it was all for you, buddy.
Yeah. I hope they just never tell that to the kids. Like, what kind of like survivor's guilt type things do certain siblings have because you killed their sibling? Cause
I actually had a friend in college that was the case. His mom had told me that she had an abortion.
And she probably thought it was a good thing. Like, it was going to build the kid up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to give you all the love and attention. Thanks, Mom. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
That's where the survivor's guilt is going to definitely come in.
I'm glad I got to have my own room and like a PlayStation 3. Thanks for killing my bro, Mom. That was cool of you. You're the best.
Yeah. You can get friends anywhere. We'll just send you to the public school.
Yeah. Okay, so, I mean, disgusting, right? One of the main reasons. Okay, 64% are older than 24 of women who have abortions. So, like, that goes again. I'm told, like, pregnant, afraid teenagers.
Teenage pregnancies. That's the epidemic, right?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is that you get pregnant when you're, like, 15, and then you get an abortion. That's what I'm always told. That's where all these abortions are. Nope, 64% are older than 24. 41% have attended some college. I'm always told it's like the most naive. It's the ones that are, easiest to lie to. No, 41% have been to college. Gee, that doesn't match with what I'm told. Yeah, I'm told women are victims, so they have to be kept in the dark and forced and like young and frightened, trembling. No, that doesn't match up. Like 41% gone to some college. More than half aren't in poverty. Well, gee, I was told that they're victims because they're always like poor and stuff. The poor, they're just worried that if they have one more kid, they won't be able to eat that week. You know, they have really tough decisions to make. Like they're not going to be able to eat food. They're not going to be able to feed their other kids. And that clouded their consciences. So they're good. 45% are married or in a relationship. I'm told, it's these people who've like been run out on, abandoned. They're like stuck. They have no roof over their head. They need somebody to take care of them, and they don't have that. 45% married or in a relationship. I don't know I don't know what kind of like marriage that is, by the way. Like, well, we're pregnant and we've decided we're going to kill it.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, just living, the as best I can, the good Catholic lifestyle. It's hard to even conceive of being in that type of situation and saying such a thing. But yeah, I guess the stats prove it. I mean, I thought it was an anomaly. There's people in my own family who hold this position. Married couples who hold this position. At least the wife does. I haven't talked to the husband about it, but I've had married women in my own family that they have the two kids, and they said, yeah, if we get pregnant again, no, I would have an abortion. And I'm like,
good God.
And I'm like, I didn't know you people exist, but apparently a lot more of you people exist than I thought.
They're like ghouls in your family? That's like ghoulish.
I come from a long line of ghouls, Dave. It's like a miracle that I'm not one of these people.
Sorry, I'm not trying to say that about your fam. I
agree with you. No, this is what I'm stuck with.
Needless to say, Kyle, Thanksgiving is going to be awkward. Like,
it always is.
Aunt Sally, you saw that episode. Dang.
I just won't wear my MAGA hat this year or something. I don't know.
Yeah, a little act of reparation.
My MAGA hat and my gold chain crucifix. It's the little things that count.
Your gangster style.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is from Guttmacher, which, evil leftist like organization, kind of like the polling arm of Planned Parenthood, but very accurate with their data. Quote, the reasons most frequently cited for abortion, I'm adding that, were that having a child would interfere with a woman's education, work, or ability to care for dependents, 74%. That she could not afford a baby right now, 73%. And that she did not want to be a single mother or was having relationship problems, 48%. Nearly 4 in 10 women said they completed their childbearing, and almost 1/3 were not ready to have a child. Fewer than 1% said their parents' or partner's desire for them to have an abortion was the most important reason. Gee, fewer than 1%. I'm told that's like most of it. I'm told that it's like the evil, lurking, skulking, brooding, like beast of a man that just impregnated them was the reason. That's like all of what I hear from Pro-Life Inc. It's basically the guys. Now, I'm not saying there aren't guys who are complicit in this, responsible for this. They should be prosecuted too. Prosecute them. Take them to jail. If you're cool with your kid getting murdered, go to jail. Bye-bye for life. You're a murderer. You're an accomplice. You should be held for accomplice liability. Or a co-conspirator if you are, telling a woman to do this thing. You should be in jail. So I'm not letting the guys off the hook. I'm just saying it's pure fiction when we're told that, they're always pressured. And it's stupid anyway because this is the feminist age, and I'm told how dang smart and strong women are. They're basically all she-bosses. So, like, it doesn't make sense. They get leaned on by these guys, and then they just, like, roll over. It's kind of a paradox, Kyle.
You know what happens, Dave, is the proverbial backbone suddenly disappears in these women when the issue of abortion comes up. That's how it happens. They can be managers. They can tell you what to do. They can rule a household. But when the issue of whether or not to have an abortion comes up, the backbone of these women just disappears, and then they're coerced, and then they become victims, and then they have to have the abortion. They have no other choice. They didn't make the decision, Dave. Culpability. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it drives me nuts, though. Like, you say, you're just so dang smart and strong, and you can't figure out you shouldn't murder your kid. And especially if somebody's like, maybe you should murder your kid. They're like, oh, seems like a good idea. No, that's not how it should work. If you're really like strong and smart, you should be like, no. Well, I really want you to murder our child. Like, no, I'm not going to murder somebody. That's what a normal person does. But so it's just lies. I don't know. The whole thing is lies. It's gross. I mean, so these are the women, and we're going to pull up pictures here in, a second here. I want to pull up pictures of these women rejoicing. Or they look like they're really happy, but I'm told they're sad and they're victims. We're looking at women rejoicing when, issue 1 passed in Ohio. Tears of joy being cried. Hugs of pure bliss and joy, like ecstasy. Look at the ecstasy in these crew-cutted women's faces. Like that, they seem like maybe they're not victims that much to me. I don't know. I'm not that smart, Kyle. Did those look like victims to you?
Not really. Yeah, it's the same old type of characteristics of people that I would think would be cheering about these types of things. No, yeah, I don't know what to think. And look, there's like a few guys in this shot. I don't know. I don't know what the, yeah.
I believe those are called douchebag feminists.
Yeah.
They're just there to get dates and be like, yeah, women's rights, right?
I mean,
Do you want
yeah.
coffee later?
These guys, oh yeah. I've seen videos of these guys like showing up at these like pro-abortion rallies, like trying to hit on women. Like it's a real thing. It's weird and disgusting, but it happens.
The male feminist phenomenon. Yeah. It's just a guy who's hard up for dates. Yeah. And, like, thinks spitting games. Like, so like, I would never hold a door for you. In fact, if we were in a mud pile, I'd push you in it right now. Equality. It's my favorite. Okay, so, yeah, not victims. And the Catholic position isn't to hold these women as victims anyway. Like, I'm going to read you from Sixtus V, Efrenatum, little document by Sixtus V on abortion. It says this: therefore, for a good reason, the Sixth Synod of Constantinople has decreed that persons who give abortive medicine and those who receive and use poisons that kill fetuses are subject to punishment applied to murderers. And then he continues, ... little ellipsis action. Quote, all and whosoever men and women of whatever state, degree, order, rank, and condition, who by themselves or interposed third persons procure abortion of fetus, so that it is expelled by means of blows, poisons, medicines, potions, weights, burdens, work, and labor imposed on a pregnant woman, and even by other unknown and extremely researched means, so that really abortion follows. And even the same pregnant woman who knowingly did the aforementioned incur in sanctions and punishments established by divine and human laws and by canonic sanctions and apostolic constitutions, and which the civil and profane law inflicts upon true murderers and assassins who have actually and really committed murder, and by this our perpetually valid constitution. G, it doesn't seem like the Catholic popes, the church, think it's really like women are victims. Gaudium et Spes, Vatican II. Abortion and infanticide are unspeakable crimes. It sounds like the church is kind of calling this, women aren't victims, they're kind of criminals, right? And, under the code of canon law, I'm pretty sure not just the abortion doctor would be in trouble, but also the woman who gets the abortion. Yeah. There's an excommunication attached to that. So all this BS that Pro-Life Inc. is spinning, like, oh, women are the victims. No, that's not Catholic. They're not actually. They're the aggressors. They're the perpetrators. They're accomplices. It's like if you hire a hitman, you are on the hook for murder.
Yeah.
You
I think
hire a hitman.
even Pope Francis talked about abortion as hiring a hitman.
Yep.
I mean, he didn't go, I don't recall the exact context and everything he said attached to that. I don't think he went as far as to like blame the woman. In fact, if I looked it up, I would probably guarantee that that wasn't in there in that, but logical conclusion, the one who hires the hitman, are you responsible? Are you culpable? Just as much? Darn tootin' you are.
Yeah. No, 100%. And morally, of course, too. This goes morally and legally. Of course, because the Western law is based on church morals and canon law. Common law comes from Christian morality. The 1917 code, just a dunk on, like, because a lot of people, and, Sophia Institute Press, when they pulled the No Christian Feminism book, it was partly because I was like, prosecute women who get abortions on my Twitter account. Like, that's the Catholic position. All these people, all these dingbats, all these useful idiots don't know that. They think like the Catholic position is that you just treat the abortionist as the murderer. The 1917 Code of Canon Law actually says procurers of abortion, the mother not accepted, incur upon the effect being secured automatic excommunication. Yeah. And then, of course, this is in the 83 code also. Canon 1397, one who commits homicide or who by force or by fraud abducts, imprisons, mutilates, or gravely wounds a person is to be punished by, according to the gravity of the offense, blah, 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 blah. In the case of homicide of one of the persons mentioned in Canon 1370, the offender is punished with the penalties prescribed there, and also in Section 3 of this canon. A person who actually procures an abortion incurs a lete sententiae excommunication. So that would be... the mother, the women, the victims, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not the Catholic position.
And what has changed there? It's been a while since I looked at this issue, but the excommunication is still there. Previously, so under the 1917 code, it was that the woman couldn't just go straight to confession after that? She would have to go. It would have to be a higher level. The bishop had to get involved. Wasn't there something that has changed with that though, where the priest has now been given the faculties to remit that? That's what I thought happened. I'd have to look this up. I didn't do it before the show.
Was that a year of mercy thing? I think that was a year of mercy thing.
It could have been, yeah, because I remember. Yeah, I don't know if it was the change with the 83 code or something more recent where it's like, well, that ability has been extended to the priest as to where the woman doesn't have to go all the way to the bishop now. We'd have to look that up.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so, I mean, the pictures coming out of of course, ecstasies and celebrations that these women are in, these pro-abortion women are in, after this law is passed. They're celebrating the future murder of children and the fact that they're going to be able to murder children with impunity. So I don't want to hear women are victims anymore. And these aren't women who are under duress, like that, the idea of like the cold shivering woman who's pregnant and her boyfriend like left her, but he left her a note threatening her if she doesn't get an abortion, he's going to like come back and get her, and she doesn't have a home, and all of those things. These aren't those women. These look like, well, they look well fed. I'm not going to lie about that.
But they look like women who are planning on having abortions should their contraception fail or whatever. I mean, these women exist. I talked about members of my own family. Another woman who I used to work with back when I was just working odd jobs through college, she described to me that she has had multiple abortions. I want to say in, somewhere 9, 10, something like that. And that's basically her method of contraception was abortion. I mean, she would have a stockpile of, Plan B or whatever it was on hand. And, she knew exactly what to do. Pop the pill after, so long, and it would all just get taken care of. Like, they're not using this in like crisis situations. They're using it in just normal situations as a substitute for contraception.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, I'm disgusted by the whole thing. Obviously, this is horrible. It's horrible for the country. It's horrible for a lot of good people in Ohio who now are going to be saddled with the regime of death. It's going to be hanging over their head. But I mean, those are the three takeaways. That's what's important. You know, you don't want to claim like a moral victory or say, you know, we're learning from something this grave, this bad, this evil. But there is something to be said. I hope we're learning from this. Like, if we don't sit down, and that's why I wanted to do the episode, like, sit down, debrief, and figure out what can we take away from this to hopefully make the pro-life fight better in the future. What can we do? Well, this is what we can do. America isn't pro-life. That's a lie. Women aren't victims of abortions. They're perpetrators. And, you know, 3, soft rhetoric does not work. Stop with the soft rhetoric. If you keep it up, the country will always be pro-abortion. Always. We have a giant fight on our hands. 9% of Americans are pro-life. So whatever rhetoric you think would be conducive to convincing 91% of Americans that they're completely and utterly and sinfully wrong, that's the kind of rhetoric we need. And that ain't Mike DeWine out there like, it's not right for Ohio. It's right for other states, but not us. That's not the kind of rhetoric we need. It's not women's health is really important to us. It's really super important to us to protect the health of murderous, bloodthirsty mothers. Nope. That's not the issue. And it's not about parents' rights either. It's about protecting innocent, vulnerable babies. Because if we live in a society that doesn't protect innocent, vulnerable babies, we live in a dystopia. There's not such thing as a society that sanctions the murder of the most innocent that is a civil society. We basically live like heathens. And yeah, that's what we should take from it. Those are my final words, Kyle. I don't know if you want to close us out, give your final thoughts on the matter.
Yeah. And maybe before we do, I don't know if we really touched on it, though. I do want to just dispel and ask you about, because you're actually, you know, we had this discussion back when this was going on with Michigan a year ago, dispelling some of these big Pro-Life Inc. talking points about, you know, we said don't use the soft rhetoric. But even if we were to concede use of the soft rhetoric is not even going to work. They're misinterpreting it. Like, let's take the parents' rights issue, right? So the language in the amendment talks about every individual has the right to make and carry out one's own reproductive decisions. Catholic, pro-life, whatever, is going to say individual. You guys know what that means? That means that your 13-year-old doesn't have to tell her parents now, and she can just walk into an abortion place and get, you know, an abortion without telling her parents. Is that really what it means, Dave?
No, not with regard to that, because there would still be other laws on the books that are going to be upheld. When you pass a new law, courts go out of their way to synthesize it with the laws on the books unless you're specifically repealing the existing law, or unless there is kind of an unbridgeable gulf between the two laws, like they are mutually exclusive and they cannot be reconciled. If they are reconcilable, the courts, as a matter of statutory interpretation, will read them together, and you will get kind of a synthesis of these two things. So if like one law says that individuals have a right to abortion, and then another law says that minors cannot get a procedure done without parental consent, saying individuals can have a right to abortion does not obliterate the fact that there's another law in the book that says you have to be 18 to get a procedure done without parental consent. That's not how it works. That's scaremongering. It's a technique of the left. And it should not be It's not something we want to use. It's fear mongering in order to get, a few political points off the backs of the ignorant. So that is not how they do it. There's there are canons of statutory interpretation that guide how courts look at things. And yeah, courts do not just haul off and strike laws willy-nilly. They do everything they can. And again, as a former judicial law clerk, I had to do statutory interpretation when writing opinions for the court. And you do everything you can to keep laws on the books and not nullify them with the stroke of a judicial pen.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't be that the same thing with the claim that, this is just going to allow, in every single case, it's going to allow abortion all the way through all 9 months of pregnancy. This is where they get that too extreme language from, right? And they did the same thing with Michigan. Oh, it's going to be unlimited access to abortion for everyone. There's going to be no restrictions. This is going to remove every single restriction that we've ever fought for in the pro-life arena.
Post-birth abortions.
Yeah. It's gonna be partial post-birth abortion or whatever.
Despite the fact that there's Born Alive Infant Protection Acts on the books that would not be stricken by the wording of this law. Again, you have to explicitly and expressly do that in the wording of a new law if you're trying to roll back an old law, unless they are just absolutely irreconcilable and mutually exclusive, which they're not.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I want, Big Pro-Life Inc. to be right about all this stuff in terms of if it was that bad, then tell everyone it's going to be that bad. But fear-mongering and misinterpreting what they're trying to do here, I mean, we're going to get called out on this. We're going to say, oh, you guys are saying it's not that bad. No, it is bad. What happened in Ohio is bad. We should be ashamed of it. Oh, pro-life Ohioans should be ashamed of it. Michiganders, I talked about this last year. Michiganders should be ashamed of what happened there with Prop 3. It's not a good thing. But at the same time, we have to be realistic about it, and we can't think and tell people that it's going to be worse than it probably is. Yeah,
that's right. Or else we lose our credibility, for one. And we also, again, are marking the wrong issue to fret about.
Yeah, exactly. It all plays into the same thing. All right. Well, that's all I got. I appreciate that free legal advice, Dave.
David Gordon is not barred in the state of Michigan.
That's
Nothing
right.
That's been heard tonight constitutes actual legal advice.
There you go. Got to give that caveat, and you would only know to do that. So there you go. That's all I got. All we got, people. Quit Big Pro-Life Inc. Just quit it. I don't want to say don't support them. We're gonna get into the whole thing with that, but find other ways. Seriously, find other ways. Research the issue on your own. Talk to people who know better, who actually understand these issues. Vote when these things come up. Vote. I will tell you, probably in this Ohio situation, in the Michigan situation, be an informed voter. Get out there and actually vote against these things when they pop up, because people are just, their primary, their primary election, their midterm type of things, some of these things, depending on when they pop up. Just go out there. Voting harder doesn't always solve the situation, but you gotta get out there and actually participate and do it. Go to your local pro-life marches. Hopefully they're starting up. Hopefully they're going to start up in Ohio, the Ohio March for Life, maybe. I don't know if that's a thing or if that's going to be a thing. I hope it is. Promote that, like how it was in D.C. Hundreds of thousands of people need to show up around your state's capital, because that helps. All that stuff helps.
Yeah, man. People just need to see the dire situation that we're in and start really evangelizing, word of mouth, and calling it out bluntly. Like if this podcast has been one thing tonight, it's been blunt as hell. And that's good. There's a method to that madness. It's because if you don't say things bluntly, people give themselves wiggle room. And there's just none here. Like if you're not with us, you're against us. If you're not with us on what we're saying, you're part of the problem. There's no wiggle room. There's no having a nuanced position on this. It's really easy. If you give even an iota of wiggle room to any of the pro-abortion arguments, rape, incest, life of the mother, any of this nonsense, you're part of the problem. So just call it out bluntly. And I think we win this one person, one soul at a time. And yeah, the biological solution is going to have to be a thing too, where some of the people who have been brainwashed into imbibing the noxious poison of abortion culture die off. And sadly, that's a lot of millennials. If you look at the polling from especially Ohio, it's a generational problem, and we're going to have to fight it for a long time. It's not going to be quickly fixed. So don't get discouraged. We're probably going to lose all of these because the septic toxins of the abortion mindset crept so deeply, pervaded America so deeply in light of Roe versus Wade and people's rationalizations and self-justifications for slaughtering their own babies in utero. They're drunk on those still. They're still feeling those. They're still, they've deluded themselves. It's self-deception. And in order to snap out of that stupor, that fugue state, they would have to incriminate themselves. They'd have to point at themselves and say, I have done murder. I've committed murder. And not that many people are going to want to do that. So we've got a big, tough fight ahead of us. And you just got to buckle down and don't lie to yourself. Don't be an optimist and say, oh, it's not that bad. We're pretty much pro-life country. Even though every state that puts this issue up to a ballot, the pro-abortion side wins. You can't do that. Reality is the only cure.
I really wish those posters were true, like how we saw at the March for Life, back a decade or so ago when it was the millennials, and now it's the Gen Zs holding up that same poster that says, we are the pro-life generation. No, you're not. By and large, no, you're not. Most of your peers are not pro-life. And like you said, that's the battle we're going to have to fight, is a generational battle amongst the younger generations who have now come into adulthood, and some of us are in our, older, still pre to middle age, but still, we're not young adults anymore, many of us, and we're still fighting these issues, things that we should have been taught. So it's not our fault to some degree, but these things should have been taught to us by previous generations. Many times they weren't. So a lot of people have a lot of hands in this culpability. I understand that, but that is the battle. Yeah.
Yeah. 24% of American women have had an abortion. 1 out of 4 women walking around is a murderer.
Yep.
So 1 out of 4 women.
You mean a
is
victim?
A murderer.
A victim.
Oh, damn it!
Sorry.
Victim. Victim.
Right.
Good catch, Kyle.
I know. I just got to put it out there. All right.
Out there.
I think that's all we got, people. Support real pro-life movements. Support actual pro-life talking points, and support us too with your prayers.
Support our show.
Support our show. We're pro-life here. We we got the Patreon link in the show notes. As always, leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We forgot to say that at the top of the show. We gotta get better at that, Dave. We just missed a bunch of subs because we didn't tell them to subscribe.
I'm gonna pull the Taylor Marshall. Jesus is God. You agree?
You agree.
Hit the like. Just hit it. Hit it right now if you like that.
Hit that.
Plenty more where that came from.
Why don't you go ahead and lasso that like button, like how we do here in Texas. Okay. We're getting loopy. It's late.
It is late.
We better sign off before we say something we regret.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Till next time. God bless you.
Peace.